Welcome to Refining Her, the podcast where we go into the unfiltered, unapologetic journey of refining the subconscious mind. I'm your host, Golden Johnson, founder of House of Gold Refining Academy. I make the impossible achievable and challenges solvable. I share my highs and lows, my lessons and tragedies, turning them into practical strategies for refining your mind and mastering your vision. Whether you're an inspiring CEO, a leading manager to a micro team, a compassionate coach, or simply on a quest for personal growth, Refining Her is your doorway to limitless possibilities. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and empowered to break patterns and ceilings into your next best phase. Join me as we explore the power of who you are and transform you in ways you never thought possible. Together, we'll refine our minds, overcome challenges with ease and grace, and master the art of problem solving, tuning you into your legacy timeline. Get ready for today's episode. Leaders, changemakers, welcome back. This episode is going to be a life changer. We're going to go into the deep transformative power of the subconscious mind. We're going to explore how to replace the old limiting beliefs with anchors of success that propel you forward. Now, this technique I'm going to share with you, I've been using since the dawn of my time. As a child, I used to touch this one place in my body whenever I had a good memory. I don't know why I did that. I just did. And at that point in time, it was actually my feet. And I'll be sitting by the trees. The day would be so beautiful. The sun would be shining. And I really just felt at peace. I was always alone most of the times because I didn't have parents in my life consistently. So I was always left to play in the park. I was always left during after school activities in my own world. And whenever I felt at peace, I would touch my feet and squeeze it. Years pass, and now I'm certified as a hypnosis practitioner, as a mindset coach, as a neural energetic rewiring expert, as a neural encoding practitioner. These are all things that are working with the subconscious mind, refining it, removing you out of lack and limits, and pivoting you in abundance. And to learn about this technique as an adult, it is so validating, and I'm so excited to share with you because sometimes in your life, what you're doing may not make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world down your timeline. So, first, let's understand the subconscious mind, okay? The subconscious mind is a powerful friend, okay? It silently governs so much of our behaviors. It can also be the storage of limiting beliefs that hold us back. The key to unlocking our full potential lies in understanding and refining these deep-seated beliefs. So, one technique that I love doing is journaling. By the way, we'll get to the first technique a little bit later on, but I just want to build up on that. It'll all make sense. But the first technique is journaling. And what it is a simple practice of writing down your success as they happen. Okay, wow, so simple, right? But how it works, this technique serves as a reminder of your capabilities and achievements, directly challenging any limiting beliefs by providing concrete evidence of your success. And the benefit of all this is regularly writing this down and reinforces the positive self-perception you have of yourself. It builds like a file of motivational moments that can be revisited anywhere doubt creeps in. So The power of the mind is that it remembers every single thing in your life. You may not consciously remember it, but it does. And it controls our automatic behaviors, our thoughts, our responses. It controls how we actually think about things, what we actually expect in life. It controls a lot of the automatic behaviors we have. So, what happens when you get a success in your life? Sometimes you're going to doubt it. Sometimes you're going to go to a limiting outcome, like, oh, this is too good to be true, or I hope I don't lose this, or I hope nothing bad happens now that I have this good thing. Well, your mind is reacting to success as a limiting belief. So the more you write down your successful moments, the more you're going to show your mind, like, hey, this is not limiting. I actually want more of this. And I'm going to document it with my awareness in hand so you can see how powerful I want you to really hold on to these memories. I want you to store them at the front of my desktop, right? If you have a computer or if you have a phone, you have files at the front of your homepage. You want your success at the front of your homepage, not all the way in the back in your downloads or your files where you have to go in the back ends. You don't want that. So journaling is going to make that happen. It's going to be on your home screen. So I actually have a journal with all of my accomplishments and success, and I review it almost multiple times a day. But when I did, I was like really in the vortex of refining my mindset. So every single moment of the day, I would review it. And this was an old journal, so it took me about a year to fill it out. And with that being said, I got a lot of my confidence from that book. The fact that all of my success was stored at the front of my brain reminded me every single moment of my life that I was in control. I was capable of best outcomes. I was at full capacity of accessing my potential and my gifts and my skills. And I was capable of making decisions that aligned with my highest self. I was always in the energy, in the embodiment of wanting to be my best self. That's my goal. My goal is not to get money. My goal is not to, get these fancy stuff. I mean, I'm not at that phase yet. My phase is to become my best self because I know when I become my best self, it's going to be a domino effect in everything else in my life. So this is where I come to say, if you are wanting one thing in your life, like you want this car, you want this house, I want you to dig deeper because that is super, super shallow. I mean, anyone can get a car, anyone can get a house if they apply themselves. And then what? Then you get that car and then you're like, oh, well, I don't feel full. Well, it's because you weren't focusing on becoming your best self. You see, when you become your best self and you're actively moving into your highest potential through decisions, through the behaviors, through the habits that you have, when you're actively in that, everything else in your life is a bonus. Everything else is a bonus. It's the most amazing feeling because that's when life gets exciting. That's when you really found the secret that a lot of wealthy people have not found. A lot of wealthy people do not have full embodiment of themselves because they were chasing wealth. But what if you decided today to chase your highest potential, knowing that when you do, everything else enters your vortex? That car, that house, the money. I mean, isn't it inevitable if you were to be your best self, everything else will just follow through? I don't know. For me, it just makes sense. But let's go into technique 2. Technique 2 is visualizing success and creating physical anchors. Step 1, okay, because there's steps. Sit with your limiting beliefs. So I'm going to walk you through my whole experience and then we'll get back to the steps. That's just how I'm feeling right now. So step one is sit with the limiting belief. There was a time I'd have flashbacks of past events, past experiences. This is called PTSD. And this is when your mind just abruptly reminds you of a failure or of a horrible event or uncomfortable thought or something that happened. And instead of like brushing it off, what I like to do is I like to sit with those limiting beliefs. I like to treat it as my child. If my child came screaming, crying, angry, frustrated, whatever it may be to me, and they're like, mommy, like I have this memory in my head, or I had this dream or this nightmare, and this is what happened. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to be like, tell me more. How did it make you feel? What else happened? What else did you notice in the dream? Right? And it's so important to talk about it, because if you can't communicate with yourself, how can you communicate with anyone else? Right? So I kind of role play in my head and I sit with this limiting belief and I acknowledge and observe the limiting belief and I feel it. I let that frustration come or that sadness come. I allow myself to feel its impact without judgment. So I'll say, "Oh, sweetie, that's so sad. Sweetie, that's so frustrating." I don't say anything that will allow me to embody the identity. Instead, I will just acknowledge the feeling. So I'll be like, darling, that's so sad. I'm so sad that happened, right? That's so sad that happened. That sucks that happened. And then you keep talking yourself through it. So I was talking myself through mine. And this was a memory I had in the past. And I was like, oh, I know, it sucks. And I just kept saying that over and over again. I know, it sucks. I hate this happened to you. I know it sucks. It sucks so bad. You don't deserve that, but it happened and it sucks so bad. That's so sad. Right? And I'm sitting there with it and I'm just repeating myself. And then eventually I notice myself saying, I let this go. I let this go. I let go the shame. I let go the guilt. I let go the embarrassment. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. This sucks and I let it go. This hurts and I let it go. This pain I'm feeling, I let it go. I let go the guilt. I let go the shame. I let it go. 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 This shame, this guilt, I let it go. I hate it that it hurt me, but I let it go. It's no longer attached to me anymore. And I remind myself to detach. When I find myself replaying this scenario as myself, first person, I say detach, and I look at it from a bird's eye view or someone's looking at the situation. I take myself out of that situation in my mind and I say, let it go, let it go, let it go. And the more I say that, the more I notice that I move out of that room or that scenario. My mind literally lets it go. And then I say, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you for anything that happened in this space. I forgive you. I let it go and I forgive. I let it go and I forgive. And I just keep repeating until I feel at peace. I feel okay. I'm not happy and giddy, but I'm okay. I'm at peace. And then from there, I found myself pivoting into the future. And I was like, okay, what do I want to happen instead? Right? That's what I'll ask myself. What do I want to happen instead? We let that go. We forgave ourselves. It's no longer a part of us. What can we make happen instead? What do I want to happen? What do I want to happen instead? What do I want to happen? And you kind of just keep asking yourself over and over until you can find that visual, that feeling, and then you just follow it. So I followed this visual on a boat. I was on a boat and it seemed like a date with someone. I was like in between their legs and I was sitting between their legs and they were like holding me and we were just on the boat and the boat was just going in the water. All you can see in front of us was just the water and the sunset, and I felt so at peace. And with their arms around me, I just felt so good. I was like, oh, this is a good vision. I like this vision. And as this vision was playing in my head, that's when I started to create an anchor. So an anchor, a physical anchor, is going to be something you're going to use for the rest of your life. I want you to choose one part of your body. Only you can know. And I'm not going to tell you mine. I told you my old anchor, but that's not my anchor anymore. But I'm sure if I touch it, it will bring up those old memories. Because remember, our mind remembers everything. So I want you to find an anchor. It can be one of your knuckles. It can be one of your fingers. It can be your shoulder, your knee, wherever you feel fit. It could be your nose, your face, something accessible. Because as I was visualizing this memory, I then touched my anchor and I was breathing in very deeply as I touched it, and then I breathed out. And when I felt that emotion just about to fade away, I removed my hand. That's the most important part. Remove your hand. Do not let that emotion subside, because again, this anchor is only for that top emotion. When you're so in depth with that good feeling, that's when you want to touch it. And when you start to feel it subside like a wave, you release. And after I did that, I basked in that moment. I was still on that boat, and then I heard sounds around me, friends saying, "Hey, you want some? I can bring you some." Yeah, bring it. And then, instead of them bringing it to me, the person that was holding me got up and got the food or whatever it was and brought it back. And we were just sitting in the sunset on the boat, and it was such a beautiful experience. And then I started to float back up, all the way back to where I was visualizing this. And I opened my eyes and I said, that's what's going to happen in the future. That's a pit stop in my timeline. That's something that's going to happen. And for some odd reason, I keep visualizing Greece. I keep visualizing water and mountains, and I'm here for it. So that's in my timeline, right? And now we just pivoted ourselves extremely from one limiting belief to an extremely powerful one. And the more you do this, the more you start to rewire your brain. This is how it works. And I've been doing this my whole life. And when I got certified in this, I was like, wow, I've been doing this my whole life to myself, but people get certified to do it on other people. And I'm like, I must be extremely special, to instinctually know what to do when these limiting beliefs come up. It's I know how to refine my mind. I know what I need to do next. It's I have this internal encoding in my DNA that's been here before, and that is now helping me move through it. And this is our power that we have access to. This is a power I know I have access to in all my trainings. I definitely put all of the techniques and the information in these trainings so people can take it away. But this is just a context to the trainings. The trainings are very thorough, just, do what I say type thing. And it works out, because if you really listen to this podcast and what I'm sharing, you're going to really start to be like, whoa, this is something I probably never heard before in this way. And it feels really good. It feels really different, and it feels really real. It feels like I'm accessing parts of my genetic encoding that maybe I never got activated when I was younger, right? The amazing thing about my life is that I can alchemize it. Because of how I started, which is not in a good place, I know how to work things in my favor, regardless of the challenge I go through. And that's what I share with you all. I really want you to know whatever challenge you're in, you can alchemize it to work in your favor. I promise you. But let's get into technique 2. Technique 2, I'm going to break it down. So what I just explained to you was kind of the process of it. And then for those who learn differently, I'll just break it down step by step. So step by step, step 1 is you want to, again, sit with your limiting beliefs, acknowledge and observe the limiting belief, allow yourself to feel the emotions, the waves, without any judgment, full on love, full on unconditional love. Just love yourself through it. Be that person to love yourself through it. Step 2, forgiveness and letting go. Forgive yourself for holding onto this belief. Okay? Forgive yourself. It's okay. It sucks. It's okay. Observe the internal suffering it has caused. Ask yourself, who's suffering here? I forgive you. Who's suffering here? I forgive me. Who's suffering here? I let it go. And allow it to just melt away. Decide to let it go. I want you to do that. Give yourself the power, the permission to let it go. Step 3, pivot into visualization. So this is my favorite part. Immediately after releasing the limiting belief, pivot into a visualization one. Move on, right? Show your mind how to move on. And move on to a beautiful outcome. Play this out in your mind. It has to be positive. It has to be free. It has to be abundant. Focus on the feeling it evolves. Focus on the feeling that moves throughout your body, that it evokes. Don't really necessarily have to focus on the details in the visual, depending on, who you are. But the most important thing is the feeling. Step 4, create a physical anchor. At the height of the visualization, when you feel fully immersed in the positive outcomes, establish a physical anchor. This could be a specific gesture or a touch, a consistent spot on your body, as it serves as a tangible reminder of the positive feelings and successes that is on your timeline. So we know in this journey, there's going to be roadblocks, bumps in the road, road rage, people trying to, get you out your lane, people trying to distract you and tell you to come on to the side of the road for a little bit and hang out. But you got a journey to fulfill. It's the journey and the movement that keeps you progressing and pivoting into abundance. And the benefits this technique helps in quickly shifting from a negative to a positive mindset. This benefit enforces the desired belief or outcome. It doesn't make you focus on the past anymore. It makes you focus on your future, what's happening, what you're moving towards right now in the present moment. The physical anchor acts as a quick access point to the positive emotion and mindset, effectively depositing good feelings into your personal success bank. It's a personal success bank. The more you deposit and touch this spot, you are telling your mind, I'm depositing success. Remember this. I'm depositing achievement. Remember this. I'm depositing a beautiful experience. Remember this. Whenever I'm in a real life positive experience, I touch it as well. I deposit in my bank account. So for example, when I used to work in corporate, I closed my first retail company design on my own. And I was really proud of myself for that. That was millions of dollars. And I did it on my own. So I touched that anchor and I made myself remember this moment. I have so much moments of happiness where even like a squirrel came up to me one day, literally just came up to me and sat beside me for like a nice 20 minutes, I promise you. And I was like, wow, like you like me like that? I put that in my success bank. So whatever good things happens throughout your day, put it in your success bank. Allow your mind to remember these. Put it on the front page of your home page so you always can remember success. And now maybe you're gonna think like, well, Golden, if I have a bad day, do I use it? Okay, you can, but don't overdo it. I want you to use it on your worst day, not on your bad day. Use it on your worst day when you're about to give up, okay? And go through this process, okay? When you're on your worst day, go through the process and then allow yourself to pivot into a positive visualization and then touch that anchor. Because we don't want to murky the waters, right? This success bank is pristine. It's going to have all your good memories. So we don't want to murky the waters, murky the memories. We don't want that. So this is where you really do need to have control and know when you need to go into your success bank to withdraw some things. But don't worry, the more you withdraw doesn't mean that you're going to deplete it. However, if you're constantly in challenges, constantly doing negative things, you may get in a negative state. So then that anchor is going to turn into a negative anchor. Does that make sense? So we don't want it to be a negative anchor. We want to keep it positive. And we don't actually want to store any negative anchors in our body. That's why it's so important to do this step of visualizing and letting it go and forgiving yourself. And if you feel like you don't have time for yourself to do this, then you're not top priority in your life. And that's an issue. And that's why you're not where you want to be. Put yourself as top priority and life will treat you as top priority. Okay. So with that being said, I want you to really tune into your subconscious mind this week. It's a journey of self-discovery and growth, and by integrating these techniques like the journaling aspect and the visualization aspect, you're not just dreaming of a better future, you're actually constructing it. That's the power. Remember, your subconscious mind is a fertile ground for the seeds of your thoughts and beliefs. Plant wisely, nurture with care, and watch as your garden of success flourishes. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. If you want to know more about the programs that I have, the courses I have, the trainings, DM me. If this resonated with you and gave you a huge quantum shift in your life, which I know it did for me, I would love to hear from you. Connect with me, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, you know where to find me, okay? Until then, I am so proud of you for being on this journey. You are literally the 0.3%. Nobody knows about this. And if they do, they're not taking it seriously the way you are. And we need more people like you doing the work and really enhancing and refining themselves for success for the greater good. So with this in mind, remember, your life is going to improve. Your life is going to enhance in ways that you don't even know how to imagine yet, because your limiting beliefs are getting cleared out the way. But when you start to clear these beliefs, when you start to step into your abundance, your legacy lifestyle, when you start to be an active participant in your life, honey, the sun glows different. Okay. But until then, you take care. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I hope that it has given you insurmountable change in your life, new insight and perspective on the timeline you are on. If you want to leave a review, it would mean the world to me, whether it may be on Apple, Spotify, or simply Facebook or LinkedIn. I would love to hear about how this episode and the overall podcast has changed your life. Until then, you take care and don't forget about the power you hold and the journey you're on.